Let's have a closer look at how F1 teams are upgrading and preparing their cars for the third race of this season in Australia. Let's start with Ferrari. The Italian team brought a new diffuser with a different shape in the center, and they flow-vised the rear wing. A very interesting detail we can see here is the gurney flap on the underside of the rear wing. You would usually mount the flap on the pressure side of the wing to increase downforce. Mounting it on the lower side does the exact opposite thing and reduces downforce and drag, something we know from Indy cars. So if you don't have the right low downforce wing and you want to reduce the downforce level and drag, mounting a gurney underneath is a very simple and effective solution to still use the same wing. And another proof that even big teams like Ferrari have to become creative with a cost cap in place. Also, we can see the wake behind the outboard slot gap separator. Another detail we can see here is the double bubble suction side of the rear wing. If you design your wing with sections in these positions and you want the center to be the same, or at least the lowest point should be at the same height, this double bubble shape happens because you can only control leading and trailing edge of the wing. Introducing more control would lead to bumpier surfaces. To avoid this double bubble shape, you would usually position the outboard profile slightly higher, but it seems like Ferrari accepted the wiggly shape here. Also, we could see that Ferrari still has a bouncing problem, even with activated DRS, and it appears to be a bit stronger in Australia. Red Bull brought a new front wing end plate. Also, Red Bull did something we usually never see from them. They showed us their floor, even from both sides. With this picture you get an idea of how large and complex this part of the car is. The Red Bull floor looks pretty complex with almost a shrink wrap shape around the center and straight and then strongly curved strakes at the front. At the back we can see an interesting metal strake that could help to avoid the floor from touching the ground and creating vortices, together with the cutouts at the floor edge to improve efficiency. If we look at the top side of the floor, we can clearly see the crucial areas where Red Bull is measuring the suction of the floor. If we compare this floor to the Mercedes, the Brackley floor looks very smooth, or we could say very simple. During practice, Verstappen complained about a neutral car at higher speeds and he had trouble to turn in. So we might see Red Bull reducing downforce at the back for this weekend. Aston Martin had trouble again with their Mercedes engine, which forced Vettel to use the scooter around the track, and Stroll lost some fairings of his car. Aston brought a new rear wing to this race, which could be their new medium downforce wing. The changes to the Australian track made this a faster circuit, which leads to a lower downforce setup compared to last year's. Alpine showed some good performance during practice, and we could take a look underneath their nose, which revealed that they are using a vanity panel, and they can change the shape of their nose without doing another crash test. Also McLaren showed us their nose without the vanity panel, and Williams brought a new front wing, beam wing and front brake ducts. Haas brought a new diffuser, and Mercedes, AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo didn't update their cars from what we can see. Mercedes used cameras at their outer floor edge and they are still trying to understand the bouncing issue. It looks like we have another interesting F1 weekend ahead of us. See you at the next video.